Welcome to You're Not Alone, the podcast that brings you real stories of strength, hope, and resilience. Life is full of challenges, and if you're navigating a personal struggle, facing difficult challenges, or simply looking for an inspiration, this space is for you. My name is Victoria Vita. I'm a mindset mentor, Reiki master, and a sound healer. I'm also the CEO and founder of Self Awesomeness and the host of this podcast. This podcast is here to give you hope, inspiration, and the reminder that you have community behind you. Our guests are real people just like you who have faced losses, anxieties, and life obstacles, but emerged stronger. Their stories are raw, honest, and full of hope, reminding you that no matter how tough things get, you are not alone. And today's guest is someone who is very presence is a reminder that soul always remembers. She's an international medium, energy healer, and a spiritual life coach whose journey began the moment she entered this world. Born with cerebral palsy and open spiritual channels that have never shut down. From her earliest years, she was tuned into unseen, experiencing deep spiritual awareness and witnessing what many couldn't. By her teenage years, she realized she wasn't just imagining it, she was living it. And for the past 35 years, she has been walking hand in hand with spirit, helping others discover their own gifts. And her mission here is to help the next generation rise with clarity, confidence, and connections. Please welcome our soul guide, a wisdom keeper, and a true light in this world, Sunshine Layne. Hi, Sunshine. I'm very excited to have you on today's podcast.
Hello, Victoria, and everybody out there. Thank you so much. I love and appreciate for you having me here today and everything that your mission is about. So thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you. So I would like to start from the beginning. You were born with cerebral palsy and yet had such an opening spiritual channel from the start. What do you remember most about your early experiences with the spirit?
Early experience, I don't know anything but working with spirit. I remember being young and just communicating and also like playing with fairies and all about love, like always about like love and
Mhm.
hugs and just like pure love and pure acceptance. And I've had that all my life.
I know that many people close down their spiritual gifts as they grow older. What helped you keep yours open, and especially during those intense teenage years?
Well, with having the diagnosis as cerebral palsy and being an Easter Seals child, I had to do therapy. And if I wasn't at the Cavell block doing therapy in school, they take me out class doing therapy. So my parents always really encouraged me to, I get to, and to be me. And I think that we come in fully opened and know what we're here to do. We're totally tapped into our physical body, our emotional, our mental, our spiritual, and our ether. It's through experiences, right, that we shut down through the human experiences. And that can start very young at critical ages, right? That
Hmm.
we're talking out loud to somebody and we may be communicating with angels, spirit guides, or beloved ones, people that have crossed. And when we start using our voice around that when we're young, we'll be told, don't do that, it's bad, it's the
Yes.
devil, or like, don't share that with people. Shh, what are you
Yes,
doing?
yes.
Or like we could be in big trouble for that. So that's when we start shutting down. Or maybe if we're a little bit older and we're experiencing it with other kids hanging around and, we may be talking, it looks like to ourselves, or we may be sharing and we're told we're crazy or just labeled, right, that we might shut
Hmm.
down and not be able to share. And then you asked about teenage years. As teenagers, like when we're little we everything that we experience as little we children, we are looking at the big world, and anything that goes wrong or doesn't feel right,
Hmm.
we blame ourselves because the world revolves around us as
Yes.
children. as we're a teenager, right, we can look at, that we're trying to find ourselves, we're trying to maybe fit in if we're like that. We're trying to make sense of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so for teenage years, for me, it was, um, I was still really connected with spirit, but at that age, it kind of changed. They were showing me things before they would actually happen. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe necessarily in good or bad or negative or positive. But I would see deaths, I would see suicides, I would see medical conditions, and I'd see them, and then they would just happen. And so I only had spirit as a teacher. I didn't know anything else. I wasn't around spiritual people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I thought that maybe I was creating everything. I thought maybe, am I a witch kind of thing? And it was a friend of mine at the age of 21 that said, "You're very gifted, read this book." And it had a lot of answers in it that I had been seeking my whole entire life. And it was kind
Mm-hmm.
of like a Bible to me. And at that age of 21, though, with reading this, I realized that I thought everybody was tapped in. I thought everybody was living through all their different bodies and
Oh,
systems and living through their soul. At age 21, it was devastating. It was very hard for me to realize that people were not doing this, right?
uh-huh.
They weren't tapped in, they were disconnected. Yeah, so
Yes.
that was a very difficult year to
Mm-hmm.
accept that.
So, what
Mhm.
was the most difficult during that time? So, when you realized that you were one of those not many people who were living their truth through spiritual connection, and let's say the majority of people around you were not, why was that specific acknowledgement and knowledge kind of made you think differently or made you sad?
Me sad because I think you everybody hears people talking about being your full self or having a
Hmm.
soul purpose or being balanced and harmonized even.
Yes,
And we're so conditioned only to think of that physical body and live from that
correct.
ego, from that human self, rather than our full self with it, which involves that soul and can give. So that what made me um, so sad about it is people feel alone, right? They feel
Correct.
like nobody understands them. They feel that nobody can possibly know what they're going through. That they're not supported, they're not seen, they're not heard. And being connected to your soul, y and having that awareness, you're never alone, you're
You
completely
never.
supported, you can feel that. Um, and when we're disconnected and we're closed off from that, right?
Hmm.
Um, we're kind of just living in the physical, and there's just so much more than that. And the spiritual team or the collective or the oneness, however you'd like to look at it, is always there waiting, right?
Hmm.
Always there waiting.
Yes.
They're part of you being here. So that's what the sadness was. That was what the mourning was. That was what the grieving was for me.
Hmm.
Is there's just so much more that people could be missing out on, and you do not have to feel alone, and you're never ever alone.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
completely guided and supported.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people right now are seeking for that connection with their soul and feel that they're not alone because the physical presence, as you said, it's not only us right now in the moment. There is way more that we cannot actually see with our eyes, but we could feel it. And sometimes we have to trust that feeling. What would you recommend
Mhm,
for someone who are seeking that connection right now in their 30s, 40s, 50s, right? What would you
mhm,
recommend for them to do to find back that path that I'm sure they had when they were kids? What they can do
mhm.
to find that
Um,
connection?
just to not let that fear set in. And at the
Hmm.
age moving forward, at the age of
Yes.
35, I had went through a divorce of 17 years. So I moved to like a city, which was profound healing for me. And for the first
Hmm.
time ever, I was around a physical mentor, physical teachers. I had spirit. So I had no healthy boundaries with spirit. I didn't know that you could open and close. I didn't
Hmm.
know that, you know, you necessarily didn't have to do what they were requesting, that you had healthy boundaries that way. I was always at the beck and call of spirit. So that's very important to me, to know how to open and close. And another thing that is important is that we don't have to do this alone. Say if we read a
Mm-hmm.
book, right? We can read a book and we can take in like the information that really suits us. But the difference is, are we just like reading, or are we bringing it forth? Are we practicing? Are
Mm-hmm.
we growing? Are
Taking
we
actions too.
experiencing,
Yes.
taking actions to do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Have we integrated it? So to me, to always, so since 35, I was didn't have mentors, didn't have teachers. So it's very important, I think, that to find that person that you connect
Mm-hmm.
with, right? To have a mentor or a teacher so you're not feeling alone. So if you have a lot about fears about stepping into your gifts, I find a lot of people will be like, well, if I step fully into my gifts, like I don't want to see earthbound spirits, right? Ghosts or anything like that. It doesn't work like that. We all have our gifts that are very unique, and our spiritual team or collective or that oneness is not going to have us do something that we're totally uncomfortable with. It's already
Correct.
been pre-planned before we got here on the earth, right? And everything is so interconnected with like all our experiences, all our lessons, everybody in our lives. Um, and we're not separate. We all come from that oneness, and just accepting that and learning that. But part of it is finding somebody that can help you physically on your journey. So those fears don't make you like still or frozen,
Mm-hmm.
that you can fully open up to receiving who you are and live from that authentic soul
Mm-hmm.
self, right? And be the best that you can be when you're here on the physical.
Yes. Do you find it difficult for people in modern world to agree to the concept of oneness?
I do feel that, like from spirit and from experiences, that that oneness, whatever you refer to, I'm pretty like I'm open with the work that I do. That I say the God of your understanding, the
Yes.
oneness, the
Yes.
universe,
Yes.
your
Mm-hmm.
divine soul, whatever you have to do to relate, or to just to accept that there's something more out there,
Mm-hmm.
no
Mm-hmm.
matter what that looks like or feels like, but just that acceptance and not have fear around it. And we are evolving in the physical, um,
Yes.
more so into different dimensions right now, and our physical body hasn't caught up to that. So that's why everything feels chaotic. It can feel difficult. It can feel overstimulating. It can feel overwhelming. There's a lot of panic. It is because our
Mm-hmm.
bodies have evolved in the physical, and we haven't caught up to that. So the oneness, for people to be open to it, or the universe, or we all come from the same place and we're equal, that's coming more and more. So people are feeling that more, or awakening to that more,
Mm-hmm.
or having knowledge of it and walking fully into it, um,
Mm-hmm.
more so.
Yeah. So basically,
Yeah.
now we are looking, a lot of people are looking for that openness and connection to others as well as their own souls, and realizing that we're just basically one big universal energy, let's call it this way, or
Mm.
oneness, right? As you said, everybody defines it the way it's better for, I guess, our mind to comprehend sometimes. But a lot of times I feel as we need to trust what we feel, and sometimes it may not be in the line with what we think we should feel. Let's put it this way, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I do speak of that all the time, is that we're conditioned in so many ways, but like what we have that inner talk within us, right?
Yes.
That may be, you're beautiful, you're good enough, you're awesome, what are you going to experience today? Or it could be an inner talk in you that's like, I'm not good at anything, I'm going to
Yes.
fail, nobody likes me, nobody
Mm-hmm.
understands me. So that it starts with your inner talk. All the relationships that we have in life, right? It has to start with us, and
Yes.
that ripples out on the outside of us. So that
Correct.
inner talk is one thing. and the feelings that we have because of our inner talk. And then, so the feelings that we have and how we're doing the inner talk is how our thought system is. And without even speaking that, that is what the universe, the oneness, hears and reflects back to
Mhm.
us.
Mhm.
So even then, if we speak, it brings it forward even more. So, as divine souls here having a human experience to love, to heal, which means to me, moving forward in all things, to evolve our soul, we are actually creating our situations,
Yes.
right? So we're creating in all moments because what our self-talk, our thoughts, and then what we speak, that has to be aligned. And if it's all mungled jumbled, then that's where the
Yes.
chaos, that's where the overwhelm, that's where everything comes in and the complex things. If we're more aligned that way, um, I'll give you an example. So I don't believe in how we were conditioned and instilled with fear what happened the last few
Mhm.
years. And so I was really tuned into spirit and doing a lot of work that way. I'm very busy in the daytime, but while I slept too. And it had really changed from what I had normally experienced and felt and seen. So as people would cross over, and if I was involved in supporting them, when they went up, they were no longer in their physical. They were accepting that, yes, I have died. That life review was starting. Usually they start the process of working on themselves, but they were actually sending back down to the earth, like as huge, massive groups. And I had never witnessed that. Another thing, I'm very sensitive to what is playing out there in the universe. So we all have feelings and
Mhm.
um and thoughts. But one thing I remember being in tune one day that I had felt gratitude on the earth like never ever before, right? Like we were all vibrating gratitude.
Uh-huh.
And I've always spoke, even as a young child, that, it is possible. I've had a lifetime, my first lifetime, we can have a heaven on earth here on earth, right? If we were to just all, you know, for a minute on earth, go into like that pure love and feel that and send
Yes.
that, we could change and heal Mother Earth. We could change the whole world,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
It's all of what we're putting out into that one.
I totally agree with you on that. And I believe that our inner talk is something that, as you mentioned, we may feel negative. Let's put it negative, right? There are no negative or
Mhm.
positive
Yes.
like emotions and thoughts. But if I have, let's define it as negative inner talk, inner conversations with myself, but I'm saying, oh yeah, I'm good, positive things. It doesn't align.
Yes.
That's why when we feel like, "Ugh,"
Mhm.
see, this is
Yeah.
what the universe proves me that what I thought was right. Instead of just changing the way we think to a positive
Mhm.
and see how world in front of us unfolds. How do you help people to shift that way of thinking? Because from my own experience and from my clients' experience, it takes an effort to shift that mindset, to shift and start believing. Let's say we believe about we recently talked about relationships, and everybody thinks it's horrible, it's impossible, it is this and this, what they feel. But what they say is, yeah, I believe I can meet my true love, let's put it this way. And it's this is the disconnect between inner talk and what I say out loud proves them, yeah, there are no good people around, right? So how do you help people to change that inner conversation to, let's say, like more positive way, so they can see how universe, god, oneness responds to that change in their mindset?
Mhm. I wish it was something that could just happen just like that. And like
Yes,
overnight,
it
that would
doesn't happen like that.
absolutely
Yes.
incredible, yes. And living this life too, I have to say that, it is very magical. It's always filled with curiosity, wonder, and surprise, and it does have rainbows and unicorns, and fairies to it.
Hmm.
But not to say that there's no caca with that, right? Or there's
Yes.
not gonna be splats of, difficult or vomits, but
Hmm.
it's just moving forward in all of those things. So how I like to support people. It is very, you know, very, I'm passionate about people that are ready to do the work,
Mhm.
right? That
Mhm.
are,
Yes.
that I can support through that and finding themselves and just being ready to like, okay, what I'm doing isn't working. What I've tried, I've always bounced back to. So to me, it's part of healing. It's part of healing what we've carried. It could be from generations, it could be from ancestral.
Mhm.
We've always did the same thing because we've been, it's in our DNA, it's in
Yes, yes.
our, um, upbringing. We start getting conditioned as soon as we're born, right? As soon
Yes.
as we arrive here on Earth.
Mhm.
So it's healing things because we don't realize that we're triggered from the things that we haven't healed and that we have defragments of ourselves. You know how when we're working on the computer, sometimes the computer will get slow and it's get slower and
Yes.
slower, and we got to go in and we got to I don't know what it's called, defrag it. We got to set it up where it's more
Restart.
running clear. Well, that's how, yes, restart, reset. That's how our bodies and systems are. Our soul's already been through all that caca, that difficult
Mhm.
stuff, but we haven't connected it with our human self. We're being
Mhm.
really stubborn about it, right? Or we may be playing the victim role around it, right? Something that happened years ago. Yes, it was traumatic, it was hard, it was
Yes.
difficult, but that's not who we are, but we've
Mhm.
allowed it to become us, possibly, right?
Yes.
Um, so it's just being ready for it and the acceptance. Okay, yeah, I'm ready for change, and it can be, you know, the programming is some people you had mentioned like, 30, 40s, 50s, 60s. Some people can be like, no, this is just what I know. This is who I am. There's lots of people that grew up like generations ago and might have been a young person raising their other five or six siblings and had alcohol parents and just did different things, but their parents may not be here but they're
Yes.
still talking about,
Mhm.
how they had to raise the siblings, how they were given, how the drunken nights affected them. And so that has become their being, and there's so much more than that.
Mhm.
So just to be ready to the mindset shift, right? Just to know that situations or traumas or difficult times or chaos does not create your being and who you are.
Yes. It
It's
doesn't
only here
define
as
who
an
you are.
experience, right?
Yeah.
It's only here as an experience to be able to evolve, to be able to help others heal one day, possibly, on what you experienced.
Yes. Yes. I
Hmm.
agree on that.
Yes.
Totally agree on that.
Mhm.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that pivotal moment for you that changed how you understood your purpose?
How I understood my purpose. I'm just trying to think because I've been so connected.
Or maybe you were just always connected and you knew this
Yeah,
is what you
I
were
was
going to
always
do.
connected, but something that I will share, and I'll probably get emotional with this.
Mhm.
So I was at the age of 16. I had before that in public school at 7, I was assaulted by two young men. So it
I'm
kind of
sorry.
closed me off from like wanting to talk about 2 men or anything. But when I
Mhm.
went into grade 9, I was 16, and there was this, I was in my art class, and there was a man in my class, a young man, and, he never talked to me or anything, but then eventually he started putting his headphones on me, and without talking or anything, he just, so we start talking that way. We built the relationship that way. He had a girlfriend, and, we were kind of in the same friendship groups or whatever
Mhm.
eventually. And so it was a couple years later, I was having dreams about him, I would say, and I was thinking about him nonstop. I wasn't even at the school anymore, and I was friends with his girlfriend. Um, I was at a different school at the time, and I started, this is an example of how my gifts have changed. I started thinking of him all the time. I started dreaming about him. I was told to go to him, like ride my bike, go and see him. And I was thinking I had a crush on him, but he had a girlfriend. And what am I doing kind of thing. And I was working at a place called the Dog House in a mall, and it was like a dog house. It had 2 windows in it, and it served like burgers and fries and all hot dogs and stuff. And he came in one evening, and he was wearing his house coat. He just bought a new house coat, so he's like dancing and joking around. And he said, "Come to my parents' cottage on the weekend. We're all getting together." And da 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 da. Well, I was at school outside the next morning, and people were talking, and so he wasn't at the school, but they had said, "Have you heard about so and so? He committed suicide last night."
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
So um, that took me on a spin
Mhm.
because Spirit had been telling me to go to him, and
Mhm.
very, very strong, go to him, go to him, go to him. But I didn't know at that time what that meant, right? Like I got caught up in that human self thinking, "Oh God, I have a crush on him," kind of what's happening here.
Oh, you're a 16 years
So I
old
went
girl.
through yes, I went through, the what ifs and I should have, and so that was life changing for me, but it really
Mhm.
helped me understand my gifts even more. So that's
Mhm.
when you ask that question, that is something that comes to mind definitely.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, on that shift,
That
right? On
yes,
how it's
yes.
interconnected, how spirit's trying to communicate things. It can be big things. We have a built-in intuition. We have a
Mhm.
knowing that's in there.
Yes.
It can be a small thing from, take a pad today. And you're thinking, well, why would I need? I don't need one of those
Yes.
to something huge, and like slow down, deer are going to jump out, or
Yeah,
the
yeah,
in
yeah.
between kind of thing. And there's so many situations like that if we think about it. Have
Yes.
we listened? Have we not listened? Right. So we always have that in us, but it's like, what do we do about it?
Mhm.
Right, like what
Yes.
do we actually
How
do
do
about
we
it?
learn to listen to it as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Mhm.
yeah.
So
Yes.
thank you for sharing this story. You also mentioned that you work with gifted children. What's one powerful message you wish every parent of a gifted or sensitive child could hear?
Yes. Please, like, no matter what, do not shut them down.
Mm-hmm.
Find somebody that can work with them and help you understand and help them understand.
Mm-hmm.
We don't desire for our children, our next generations, to feel different or to feel alone, maybe like we did. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's very important for me for children, gifted children, all children are gifted, but children with disabilities are very gifted, and
Mm-hmm.
society's trying to take them and make them into something else. When really, say autism, right?
Yes.
Autism, there's different levels, there's different degrees of it, but we're trying to condition them so they be a certain way, or we would like them to interact when maybe they don't feel like interacting. This dimension here, like on Mother Earth, is a very low, dense vibration
Mm-hmm.
and frequency. Everything's energy, vibration, and frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And for gifted children and for children, right? Like they're they're busy with their gifts doing different things, and we might not understand that because it's not the normal thing, right? That's
Yes.
how I got my diagnosis, is when I was to start walking or moving, right? I wasn't moving the way
Mm-hmm.
typically society would like you to, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
one of the most important things is, don't let your fear or what you've been instilled with through the generations,
Mm-hmm.
stop your sensitive child, stop your gifted child. Get help.
Mm-hmm.
Never. So our children might not always, even if they're gifted and open, they might not always be ready for it. So I have 3
Yes.
children myself, and they had experiences, right? So one experience I can remember is like, "Mom, what's that guy out there doing jumping on our trampoline?" So I'd look out the big window, right? I didn't see the guy jumping on the trampoline,
Oh
but
wow.
she did. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
my place to say, right, how I was raised. It's not my
Yes.
place to say, "Well, what man?" Right?
There is nobody there.
It's my place to say, "Well, what do you think he's doing jumping on that
Mm-hmm.
trampoline?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? So to keep them open, to encourage it, because that is their gifts, that they're tapped into their true essence, what they're here to
Yes.
do, and help and support them to grow in that, right?
Yes.
Never shut a child down.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And if you can't answer their questions, or if you're uncomfortable with it, it's not about you. It's about the child, and find somebody that can answer
Yes.
those questions and work. I just recently had a mom reach out to me, and unfortunately, her husband's father is in palliative care and going to pass in the next couple
Mm-hmm.
weeks, probably. So she was asking, can you support me on how to support the girls as far as what's happening to their grandfather,
Yes.
and with him dying, right? Um, so yes, it's very important just to support them where they're at, and don't let
Mm-hmm.
your fear. You're not protecting them by closing them down. Right? That's
Mm-hmm.
ass
Yes.
backwards
Yes.
to me. Right? Like,
Yes.
they're our future, and we are evolving, and all the little souls coming in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they will be very
They're here to
gifted.
change
Yeah.
the world. Yeah, they're
Yes.
here to change the
Yeah.
world. Mhm.
That's what I did when my son's dad was passing away. So we did talk a lot. So, and I think the knowledge that I shared, like my knowledge and my view, my point of view, help him to go through grief and understand that death is not the end. Like physical death is not the
Mhm.
end of our soul, right? So we did talk about, and he was only 8 when we talked about it. And he goes to Catholic school. He checked with a pastor. He said one said no, and one said yes. So he's like, "Mom, what is the
Mhm.
right thing to think?" And I told him, whatever you believe, just believe, and it's not necessarily
Mhm.
will be in a line of what other people are saying. So if you know this is truth, just stay with your truth. So it's been, yeah. So I think that helped him to go through grief. And it's amazing that people are reaching out to help their family members to live through grief and passing the loved ones. Yeah, I think this is
Yes.
amazing. Yeah.
Well,
Can
celebrating you that you were able to communicate that with your son, and for your wisdom and your belief,
yeah,
and
thank you.
yeah, your
Yeah,
love and your support.
thank you.
Yes. And
Sunshine,
sending you
can you?
all kinds of hugs with your partner passing.
No, thank you. Can you please tell us a little bit about your Infinity Soul Connections program? What inspired it, and what kind of transformation people can expect from it?
Oh, well, thank you. You had asked a while ago on how do I support people in mindset
Mm-hmm.
shifts, and I'll just step back a little bit, kind of where
Mm-hmm.
it began. So people would come in. I taught for spiritual churches and stuff, but people would come in, and they'd be sitting in front of me for a reading, right? For a divine reading to be able to connect. And I found that even though they were right there, they couldn't take in this beautiful divine healing information. It
Mm-hmm.
was just go over their head, and it wasn't going to them. And it takes
Mm-hmm.
a certain energy to read. And so I asked Spirit for like to develop something to help people
Mm-hmm.
unload their bodies and systems. So they started downloading me with spiritual releases, which I do love. And so I've always worked. When I moved out here into the woods, I was like, I'll go back to the cities, but no, uh, that didn't transpire as much as I thought it would be. So
Mm-hmm.
with the world the way it was probably back in 2019, I just felt there'd be like a separation of people. And I was like really sad. And I was on the side of the road thinking, oh my goodness, that's my children possibly. I have to do more than what I'm doing. I hadn't been on I worked with abused women and children for years. I hadn't been online or computer or anything for a very long time. Um, so yes, I took a course to do. I was like, I have to do more than what I'm doing. So Spirit channeled for 52 weeks. Most of like everything I do is channeled, but a course on how to understand yourself, right? How
Mm-hmm.
relationships start with yourself first and then come out. And I just
Yes.
love the way Spirit had did it, because they were taking taking baby steps to take those fears away. So it doesn't matter if you're somebody that is, we kind of look at it, we do look at it backwards, like we are divine souls having a human experience. So to me, we're souls first, and then we're like
Mm-hmm.
stuffed into this body, right? We look at it backwards that way. We look at our human selves and connect from there. But it doesn't matter if you have been, open to your soul your whole entire lifetime, or just opening and reconnecting and understanding it.
Mm-hmm.
This um, course is developed where, it taps into everything that people may be experiencing. And it can be done individually, or it can be done as a group setting. I love the group setting because
Yeah.
everything, spirit picks the people to come together in
Yes.
the group, and then what they are doing and experiencing is so interconnected, right? And
Correct.
so I love watching that community. But it's beautiful on how, they've just channeled and built you up more and more and more and more, so you can totally tap into yourselves. That, if fear does come in, fear is a normal human experience, that we can feel it and allow it and accept it,
Yes.
and then just like move it out, right? But we can be our full soul connected, authentic self, and live in what our soul purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, live in like confidence and self-love, and really um know what is like a higher consciousness, and then what is like a lower consciousness, and just accept in all things. And as we open up that way into our perceptions and higher consciousness, life is just more easier. And when
Yeah.
something, full of caca comes, or, it might not feel good, but we know that it's happening for a reason. So we can go
Yes.
in and process it. We could get support around it, and then come out totally, transformed from that,
Yes.
at a higher level, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, the Infinity Soul Connection program is 52 weeks, which is a year. But because I always have mentors and teachers, I know something that you might start working and aligns and resonates at first, but may change, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do offer it for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then if people want to continue for the 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
which most people do all the
Yeah.
time. I've only
Yes.
had one person with health issues, um, and a diagnosis that was like, no, I can't continue. So,
Yeah. I think finding that connection, as you said, changes your life and makes your life easier. And when obstacles arise, your reaction is different to those obstacles, right? Or challenges. And we're learning from those challenges. Yeah. And I'm sure people would want to continue to get um, in tune more to that experience, because it really is the life, like the physical life, right? Thank you.
It does.
We will share the
Sure.
links. We will share the information below this episode, so you can find more and read more and connect with Sunshine if you would like to join the program. And thank you, Sunshine, for such a, I don't know, healing interview. I feel like I was on a healing session myself. Could you share one truth from your soul to the listeners, and what would it be?
One truth that's hard to put into one sentence, but like you are
Maybe
love.
few
You are
sentences.
love. Yes. You are love. You are loved. You are lovable. Um, you are like a pure divine soul, right? Here to live and to experience all that you can. Um, and it is actually it's amazing and full of joy and happiness and bliss when we're living in our fullness of oneself. And just to remember that, and this is part of what you do, right? You are never ever alone. You're always completely supported
Yeah.
at all moments, at all times.
Thank you so much. I
And
think it's, yeah.
yeah, and never, like, compare yourself to one another, right? Because that's so depleting of whom we are. And
Hmm.
even, like, with spiritual gifts or whatever, like, we're unique divine
Yes.
souls, and it would be pretty damn boring if we were all the same, right? It would be robotic, or it would be zombie-like,
Absolutely
or
agree.
right?
Yes.
Just purely accept every inch, every part of you, and love. We can't, we can, the amount of love that we have in the inside for ourselves is the amount of love that we can give on the outside of ourselves, and the amount of love we can receive from
Yes.
another outside of
Yes.
ourselves, right? So,
Yes.
yes, we
Oh,
come
thank you.
first. We come first in everything.
Never. Yeah, it's all
Mhm,
within us. Yes, just
mhm,
our outside world just shows us, mirrors us. I mean, magically,
mhm,
sometimes it feels like magic. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was very powerful, inspiring, feel connected to the universe. Everybody calls it differently,
mhm.
right? Thank you very much for your time. And you can find more information, as I mentioned before, and connect with Sunshine by following the links below this episode. And please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss another powerful story. And remember, no matter how tough things get, you are not alone.